won't own anything, but you'll be happy about it. That's what's scary. They're so bold because they know how far they've
Only
got
have
this down.
15 minutes of freedom in the UK.
Yeah, when you
So let me tell you the plan. The plan is in Oxford, and this has just been passed by the council, to divide the city here into, Spooky City, into 6 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you will only have the freedom to operate in the part that you live. So this is you. The idea is that everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need. 15 minutes for school, 15 minutes for doctors, 15 minutes of a supermarket. And if you want to travel to the other zones in your city, or maybe soon your town, you will have to go out an approved route. You will have to journey around the outside of the city in order to re-enter another section of the city. This plan is supposed to be saving the planet. And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore. So if your mother, for example, lives over here, you wouldn't be able to just go across and see her. This would all be done by e-gates, electronic gates, and number plate recognition. You in your area will only be allowed within that 15-minute zone that you've been allocated. The number plate recognition will know that you leave your zone. And you can apply for permission, a permit, to leave your zone and travel to another zone. But you'll only be allowed to do this about 100 times a year. This is real. I just have to stop and say that. This is actually being passed by Oxford Council. This is happening in the next 2 years, 2024 it begins. And if you use up all your 100 passes that someone designates whether you're allowed to have to go into the different zones, you'll be fined. Your number plate will be recognised. It will observe that you've gone somewhere you're not allowed in your own city, and it will fine you £100 or £80 or whatever the fine number is. This is coming away. This has already been approved in Oxford. In Canterbury, as another scheme, it's for 5 zones, but the same principle. This is not by chance. And what I want to take you through now is the controlling mechanism to any criticism of this. Then I want to take you through the parallels, the similarities, the patterns that you can see from this sort of coercive control. And finally, I want to take you to the dark side. So 15-minute cities, how they manipulate the narrative, controlling any opposition, patterns that we've learned already from COVID, and then I'll take you to the dark side. So when you're locked into these neighbourhoods and you're only allowed within 15 minutes of your home address, the way that they're going to and are already controlling the conversation, and think back to COVID, think back to COVID, think back to COVID, they're creating fact checkers. So anybody that's spoken of this already, whether it's Sky News in Australia, Lovely Rowan, or GB News, or anyone trying to talk about this zoning restriction in cities where you're going to be effectively told you can only go this far and you must stay this far. Any kind of opposition to that, any voices like this one, saying, can you not see the worry in the control of this? Now we have the fact checkers. So you have the fact checkers that will be promoted on Google, promoted on any search engine, fact checkers on Twitter, AFP, fact checking, saying, no, this isn't a climate lockdown, this is just some traffic control. No, people will still be able to go wherever they want. Well, yes you will, but you'll be fine. No, people won't, there won't be physical barricades. Well, no, there won't. There'll be e-gates, and there'll be nameplate recognition, and probably facial recognition to follow, which is far more scary than an actual bollard that I could go blooming crashing my way through at my own cost. All of these fact checkers are, no, but what they're saying is fine, is not fine at all. The next thing, which we saw so many times, and I've seen all my life, is that you accuse those who are speaking out, like myself, of causing harm. You said that in Oxford, the councillors have had to stay at home for the day because of all of the abuse they've been taking online. These extremists, these conspiracy theorists are threatening physical violence. You make it so that anyone speaking out against this is the enemy and may cause harm. And this maybe should be policed. And shouldn't we be policing the speech of those who speak out against 15-minute cities or being told you're not allowed to drive where you want to anymore? And the last thing is, just the labelling of people as conspiracy theorists means that you automatically dismiss them. So for me, I'm just a regular mom, pay my taxes. I can see that telling people when they can and can't drive is not okay. That becomes a conspiracy theorist. Just like it was racist was used to silence people who just have an opinion about something, this is another way of labelling people. Now I want to talk about the patterns. So if you are open-minded for one moment, let's see if you can see some of the patterns from COVID lockdowns repeating themselves with this traffic calming system that requires you to stay within 15 minutes of your home address and not cross over into your neighbour's turn. So one pattern is to create a morally superior rationale, a morally superior reason. So the reason that's given for these sort of things, it's never the actual reason, but the reason. So with COVID it was stay home so you don't kill old people. A morally superior reason, right? Or interfering with Ukraine and Russia, morally superior reason. Or we're fighting for democracy. With this, it's, this is about the climate. And if you bring out university people who truly believe, young people who truly believe, like the people who glued themselves to the pictures in the gallery, they truly believe they only have 5 years to live, that they believe that. This is the morally superior reason. We need to do this. We need to lock people down into 15-minute zones because we need to save the planet. Morally superior reason, right? 2, you sell it in softly. So as with COVID, you sell it in slowly, one thing at a time. So this has been going on in Oxford since 2015, but no one really noticed because silly councillors. And then 2019, another consultation. And 2022, it's back again, and despite 90% of people saying no, it's going ahead anyway. And then you put in 20 miles an hour zones. If you don't see this coming in your area, and I'm thinking Wales will be next, 20-mile-an-hour zones. You see that coming? That is schooling you to prepare for 15-minute cities where you don't get to go outside your 15-minute zone. So you sell it in softly. Number 3, you focus on the minutiae. And when the powerful were testing out the levers of control on us, as I believe in lockdown, focusing on the minutiae worked brilliantly. How many people can I have in my home? Now let's change that rule. Now you're allowed 6, now you're allowed 8. Now you're allowed twice a day, but for 1 hour, but not for 45 minutes, but you can't sit on the bench. Now you can do this, but not that, but you must do this, you must be wearing a red hat. Blind people with the minutiae because they focus on it. So in this example, 15 minutes. But you will be able to go to that segment, but only if you use the ring road, and then only up to 100 times a year, otherwise you'll be fined. And the amount of the fine will be about £85, but that amount will be blah, blah, blah. And you'll be given a pass if you're this, but not that. Get people to focus on the minutiae, because what you're then doing is taking them away from the, why would you be telling me where I'm allowed to drive in my own city? It works perfectly with ordinary people, because ordinary people love to know the rule, because they like to stay within the rule, because they don't want to be in trouble. You silence the opposition, so people like me, conspiracy theorists, penalise them, demonetise them, call them nutters, make them anti, try to keep people alive. Imagine them saying it's about climate lockdown when all it is just a little bit of e-gates and nameplate, number plate recognition. Oh, those crazy people. Make them nutters and promote people who love this stuff. Show people cycling. Cyclists saying how lovely it is to be able to cycle about freely. Focus on promoting. And then, as with COVID, reward people who promote this stuff. So maybe if you promote it, you'll have special privileges, like the people in government who told us we had to be locked down, but then were partying themselves, or like the newsreaders who told us we had to stay indoors, but were caught in the pub and pissed off to Antigua. Silence opposition, promote those who will talk proudly about this, and give those who promote it special privileges. Okay, to the dark side.
We'll leave it there.
Can you
say that it's actually on the website?
Yeah, that's on the website. Evelyn does a tremendous job of keeping the website up and providing some wonderful information. So I'd like to thank you all for coming. We actually got a little sound system after last meeting's request that no one could hear us, so hopefully this is good, is it? For everyone, they can all hear it? Excellent. Excellent. Okay, well, I'd like to thank you all for coming out again tonight for our bi-weekly meeting, and we look forward to getting to know all of you better. We'd like to really meet after the meeting and talk somewhat. You know, my feeling is there are a few here who would argue that these are not momentous historic times. You know, what that woman just described is actually occurring as we speak here and meet here tonight. You know, we have the room till 8, so we will be moving right along here. Plus, I'm from Western New York, and the Bills-Jets game is on at 8:30. So, yeah, Bills fans, you know, long-suffering Bills fan, right? You know, 4 straight Super Bowls, you know, all that. We know, but they're tough guys. You know, there's a lesson in there for all of us. You know, they made it 4 times straight. They picked themselves up. You know, they kept coming back, and I think there's a lesson for us there. Rick will be giving an update on our efforts, but I thought I might run through a few things in how you may aid the effort. You know, we need your support by coming to these meetings, certainly, but also by making a commitment to become active outside of these meetings. You know, we need everyone to come to an understanding and be able to communicate, as Rick was quoted in the Chattanooga Times Free Press article, the, quote, belief that the 64-page Chattanooga Climate Action Plan, if enacted as written, will broaden surveillance in the city, force residents to abandon their gas-powered vehicles, and violate property rights. How many of you saw that article in the Chattanooga Free Press? Did anyone see it? I mean, just a couple of us did anyway. And I wrote a rebuttal to that. It appeared in the Chattanooga, and I don't know if any of you saw that there, but that's on the opinion page. Well, there's a tell right there, isn't there? It's also on the website. Okay, so we need help gathering pledges of support for the petition efforts that we will be proposing. Rick will be talking more about that. And please, when you fill out the pledges, or if you fill out any form with us, would you try to do it as legibly as possible so that we don't have to run you down with a phone number or something like that. We're really pressed for time, and we believe that everybody counts. Everybody counts. We need some social media people. We need people that know something about social media, can reach out, can connect with Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram, all of these sorts of things. Again, we talked about this last time, calls and letters to your elected representatives. In your own words is best. They're more effective than just copying and pasting. We do have a donation bucket this time. You know, there are any number of costs involved here, and the core group here is basically absorbing those at this point. We've got printing costs, maybe a banner, got the rental space here, this sound system, you know, maybe advertising if we can raise enough money, you know, to reach out. So we've got to go out in our day-to-day lives and become good spokesmen for this freedom movement. We really have to. You know, this is the only way that we're going to get this message out. If you're convinced, as we are, that our concerns are valid, then they are by definition the truth. We must be willing to risk something. You know, one of the most powerful control methods that is used against the population is social ostracism, right? You hurt someone's feelings, you know, no dinner party invite for you, you know, you upset us. You know, this became all too apparent during the COVID lockdowns, right? You know, back in the hippie days, whenever I had a propensity to talk about big issues even then, and whenever I would talk about larger topics, I'd often hear, "Hey man, you're harshing my buzz, man," you know. You know, if buzzes don't need harshing at this point, I don't know what does. You know, we're living the dream just isn't really going to cut it, huh? What about our kids? What about the legacy? You know, so educate yourself to the facts of the issues and pick a few to drill down into. This is a big effort on the opposition's part, as was explained right there. You know, they're coming at us from a million different ways: control the mainstream media, social media, transportation, energy, communication. You know, what the military would call full spectrum dominance, really. Use Rick's examples, as they are very thoughtful, well-reasoned, and focused. It's good to have the high-level view, but most people are largely unaware, and that this digital panopticon is being rolled right out before our very eyes, you know. You know, what is a panopticon? I don't know if any of you see that word ever used, but it is really what they're doing today. I went to Wikipedia. The panopticon is a design of an institutional building with an inbuilt system of control, originated by the English philosopher and social theorist Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century. The concept is to allow all prisoners of an institution to be observed by a single security guard without the inmates knowing whether or not they are being watched. Now, this building has been built. They built this back in the 18th century. Although it is physically impossible for the single guard to observe all the inmates' cells at once, the fact that the inmates cannot know when they are being watched motivates them to act as though they are all being watched at all times. And this is important here. They are effectively compelled to self-regulation, right? We begin to worry, you know, right? Are they looking? Are they spying? So we begin to moderate our thoughts. We begin to moderate our voice. We begin to moderate our actions. None of this can turn out well. From the center, of course, the architecture is a round building, and from the center there was a single tower built, and the inmates, or the prisoners, couldn't see into the tower, but they knew there was a guard in there, so they never really knew when they were being watched. And so it's a very effective way of controlling. And we would argue that a digital version of this panopticon is what will result if the CAP Smart City effort is actually implemented. There's a great quote from Churchill here, you know, that I'd like to bring up here. Quote, "If you will not fight for right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. There may be even a worse fate. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than to live as slaves." End quote. Churchill, food for thought. Powerful words. I believe that we can win this. I believe that we're still at point A, really. We're a peaceful group, and we are operating within the law. And that's, I think, as our numbers grow, and I believe that they will, we can become a force. Now, bringing this back to the Bills, the coach of the team through all of those Super Bowl runs was a guy named Marv Levy. He was an intelligent guy, and he coached that way. I remember a reporter asked him before one of the big Super Bowl games, "How important is this game?" And Levy said, "Let's keep this in perspective. World War II was important. This is just a game." Right? People mocked him for that, but I liked him all the more. There are no coincidences, at least so far as I can tell. We are all here, each of one of us, at this moment in history for a purpose. I believe that purpose is to discern the truth and to act on it. Coach Levy also had a wonderful saying that has attained almost mythic status in Buffalo. You know, just before the game, he'd gather all the players around and he'd give the rah-rah, right? And then he would say, just before the kickoff, he would say, "Where else would you rather be than right here and right now?" Right? So we must engage, and we have to do it. All right, Ray, can you bring us a little up to speed on your efforts?
Thank you, everybody. Whoa. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. The next slide, please. Okay. So let's see. This is the climate action plan that the City Council voted on. It's 62 pages. And after public comments on March 21st this year at the City Council meeting, a preamble plus a few other pages were added to the climate plan. This is the preamble. And In the preamble are statements that clearly contradict the strategies within the CAP. So they did not adjust any of the other pages. They just added one page at the front that negated the bad points later in the document.
Lipstick on a pig.
Right. So I plan to show the contradictions between the preamble and the unchanged climate action plan. I focused on several specific statements that involved individual privacy and freedom of movement. They've had some referral back to, well, look at the preamble, and they're wanting us to look at that versus the CAP plan. So, next slide, please. The first contradiction is make no recommendation that would violate individual privacy. Now, it may not seem invasive, but monitoring your trash can reveal a lot about you. What do you eat and drink, products you buy, household ages, health issues, it all goes through your trash. And your EPB smart meters are always reporting what is using energy and how much. The CAP plan is, last week we spoke about the surveillance of all the street lights and the cameras on top of the cameras of the street lights. And this is a part of the control, the CAP plan. There are other plans that are out there in place. This is just about the CAP plan and how it violates our individual privacy. Please. Okay. Is your trash something private for you? Once it goes in the can and then the truck, it cannot be traced back to you. How do you imagine your trash will be reduced to meet the strategies? To accomplish this, they will audit your trash and incentivize reduction. Does audit mean video or weigh your trash? In California, cameras are all over the truck. This may seem like a small aspect of your life, but when added to loss of control in other areas, results in chipping away your freedom and privacy. According to CAP, residents will achieve zero waste community. Note all types of trash are included per CAP strategies. 3.9, you've got material waste, organic waste, solid waste, and of course they're going to increase your fees if you produce too much waste and then increasing recycling. But every one of these, they have a CAP strategy. And in fact, you can find reducing the waste, that's part of the Agenda 21 program. Very interesting book. It reads like a textbook, but it's got everything in there about how they plan to control everything in the world. Ask yourself, did you vote to have your trash monitored, your privacy invaded for the climate change? Next, please. Okay. For an example, California passed SB 1383 to achieve a 75% reduction in organic waste by 2025. Cameras are used to record the contents of your trash, and if you place the wrong item in the wrong container, a contamination charge is incurred. Some cities are also weighing your trash. Now, is this intrusive surveillance and a violation of your privacy? Next, please. So, this is an example of the 3-container collection service. The green container is limited to food waste, yard waste, green waste, and other organic materials. The blue container allows the traditional recyclables, and the gray container is for items not organic or recyclable. I feel this is micromanaging your life. You have no privacy now. A lot of things do make sense, but the granular level that they're taking this into, I believe, violates our privacy. On page 24, Chattanooga will become a net zero carbon community by 2050. To help accomplish this goal, a greenhouse gas inventory will be conducted every 2 years per CAP strategies 2.1.1 and 2.10.1. EPB has smart meters on your houses which allow them to monitor the amount of electricity usage and specific type of usage. Is it your refrigerator or your computer or your washing machine? They can tell by the amount of energy used. EPB can now generate a report for specific commercial buildings showing energy uses of many types. The use of land and water inventories will provide tools to monitor and meet strategies 5.9, 5.11, 5.32, and 5.54. And when I'm referring to strategies, they've got this very well organized. You can go right to a specific page. It has all the CAP strategies. It spells everything out that they're planning to do in the name of the CAP action plan. And so when I'm referring to a strategy, it's specifically right out of this. I'm not making it up. And then also, this is in line with Agenda 21, chapters 11 through 13, and chapter 18. Next, please. The greenhouse gas inventory will be conducted every 2 years, as I said, and will report on electricity and gas, transportation and fleet emissions, landfill decomposition, and wastewater. This covers every aspect of your life. This is a quote right here. This is right out of the plan, showing all of the areas that they're going to have the greenhouse gas inventory. It covers every aspect of your life, from where you live, how you move about, what you consume and dispose of. The city goal was city buildings by 2050 and residential homes by 2050. This year, Chattanooga committed to a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2033, only 7 years from now. Next. Here is a page from U.S. Department of Energy Better Buildings Report titled Data of the Future, Digital Cities, July 11th, 2019. This is a report for building. You can see, here's the ID number, 60246. There's the building, the green in the circle. It's a small office building, 3 floors. And right here, CO2 emissions, 222,000 pounds per year. They're monitoring, they already have the ability to do this, to monitor a building. CO2 emissions, this could be your house. Down below, there's more monitoring. HVAC efficiency, gas HVAC, gas water heater, heat pump water heater, insulation, infiltration and lighting. First, set this up for all the city-owned buildings, and then when the tools are in place, they simply shift the tools to focus on residential, us. Instead of an office building, this will be your house, and they're monitoring all of your consumption levels. To me, it looks like the government can monitor my home and penalize me if their targets are not met. They can force me to meet their targets with fines. This is just my interpretation of what I'm reading. Next. So this is how the CAP violates your individual privacy on the land and water. As stated in the Climate Action Plan, the city will conduct audits of your property. Land, water, plants, animals, insects, everything on your property. Then legally monitor and report their findings. They will then know all of the physical traits of your property. This violates your individual privacy to do what you want on your property without Big Brother watching. Do you have a stream, a pond, or a tract of trees, or maybe a species of bird on your property? Through easements, inventories, audits, and zero extinction zones, the city can dictate how these have to be maintained, invading your privacy and destroying your property rights. They even have the right to acquire your forest tracts per CAP Strategy 5.32. So in here, I've been studying Agenda 21, and I'm listing the different CAP strategies that they have. And then I found also that a lot of these are right out of, they correlate to the Agenda 21 for the stream and buffer and conservation easements. That's CAP Strategy 5.9, 5.11 on page 43, but it's also Agenda 21, Chapter 18. So I down again on the forced acquisition, it's another CAP strategy, and that's Chapter 11 in the Agenda 21. And they're going to codify these protections to where it will be baked into the law. And the zero extinction zone, that's CAP Strategy 5.53. And And that's a very dangerous one. Next, please. So let me walk you through the slide. You own a house on a couple of acres. I couldn't come up with a picture, so I created one. So let me walk you through it. So you own a house on a couple of acres. A stream runs through your land. So here's the stream, and here's a pond. Per the Climate Action Plan Strategies 5.9 and 5.11 on page 43, stream and conservation easements will be established. So that is the easements are the green borders on the river, on the stream, and around the pond. An easement typically forbids or substantially constrains subdivision and other real estate development. I read that once it's granted, it goes on into perpetuity. So an owner can't establish an easement, then go to sell his property, and then all of a sudden the easement goes away. The easement stays with the property. Your dream house by the river just disappeared. So you bought this land and you thought, oh, it's great, I'm going to build a house right here, and then you have an easement, and boom, no house, because you can't build by the river. Virginia, Piedmont Environmental Council, 9-county region is implementing 35-foot buffer easements. So maps and inventories are prepared. A forest inventory from the CAP, strategy 5.32, revealed you have protected trees. Here are all your trees, they're protected. And then on page 46, strategy 5.54, a map of protected and non-protected flora and fauna species reveal you have restricted plants. Here are your priority species. And then strategy 5.55, inventory and catalog eBird hotspots, revealed protected birds that have to be protected. The studies have revealed your property has restricted birds and plants, a forest, and easements. So in a way, you think that you realize that you've lost your privacy and your right to do